this is why I'm responsible for the Sooners losing the 2008 BCS game against Florida. So this story, oddly enough, begins in Denver 2 years earlier. I was doing an internship with a company called Campus Speak, which is a college speakers agency. And so they had all the interns. There were four interns, and now had us all live in this little townhouse. Well, she was not little, but it was a townhouse. And it was Thorne, Jen, and Leanne. And so it was a mix. I was from Missouri. Thorne was, his actual name was Anthony, but he went by Thorne, and he liked to say his stripper name was Thorn Daddy. But he was from Natchitoches, Louisiana, and he was this really little guy that anyway I didn't like him too well. Leanne, she was from California, and Northern California is okay, kinda, but I really don't like people from California. And she was from Southern California. She was from Hollywood basically. So she was on the phone all the time and would talk to me about how marriage was demeaning to women and all this stuff. It went into like Leanne. And there was Jen, who I became friends with. She was from North Carolina, and so we became friends. At some point, Jen and Thorne hooked up, which made things awkward, but that's okay. And anyway, and then it became an issue because Thorne also had a gun in the townhouse, and they didn't like that he had a gun, but he was also bipolar and drank a lot and all this stuff. Anyway, didn't really like Leanne, didn't really like Thorne, but I got along with Jen. So as the internship was ending, she went to Cincinnati to do a master's degree. I went to Missouri State. And then when we were both done with that, I went to Oklahoma to get a PhD, and she went to Florida to get a PhD in epidemiology. So, so as it was getting to the point where, OU and Florida were going to play, I was like, hey, we haven't seen each other in like 2 years. How about if we go to the game, and then when it was getting to the point where it was actually, the matchup came up, we bought tickets, which was insanely expensive. But so I was like, hey, why don't I come down a few days early and we'll hang out for New Year's Eve? So we did. New Year's Eve. We go to this place, and who do you want to guess shows up? Any guesses?
Thorne.
Thorne, no, he lives in Louisiana.
Football player?
Football player, that's, yes, true. Any particular football players? I think it's 2008. It's not a trick question. It's the only person you can probably think of. Plays for Florida. Tim Tebow. And just so you know, he was drinking water the whole time. He did not have any alcohol. So Tim Tebow shows up. And he literally goes in this back room, and I'm like 15 feet from Tim Tebow, just where I happen to be. And so I'm texting all my friends. I'm like, hey, I'm 15 feet from Tim Tebow. What should I do? And they message me back, hey, you should break his leg, because it was a week before the game. But I didn't do that because he had a bunch of offensive linemen with him, and he's Superman, so I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. And if I broke Tim Tebow's leg in Gainesville, Florida, I'm pretty sure I would have ended up in jail. And I don't think Jen would have helped me out with that. So, anyway, so I had the opportunity to break Tim Tebow's leg when I didn't before the game. And then if you remember the game, in the second quarter, he took over the game, and they won, and OU lost. So, that's why I'm responsible for the Sooners losing the 2008 BCS game. Okay, you can stop.